All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So a lot of people are wondering what's going on with XRP right now. What's happening with the central banking digital currency initiative that is being ushered in? When is this going to take place? And some massive XRP price predictions. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why personally, I'm bullish on XRP. And again, don't sell XRP. I want you to do your own research after this video, but I'm going to share some facts and some data with you in this video for why I personally choose to hold XRP, because in recent discussions, the Banque de France, which is France's central bank, has been considering XRP and Ripple for the launch of their central banking digital currency. And the central bank, has been leaning towards XRP over, Bitcoin or Ethereum. But what's driving this choice to work with a company like Ripple? Why are these banks leaning towards Ripple, and why is XRP's price not going up? I mean, if we look at the chart right here, you'll see that we're in an uptrend right now. So we're consistently making higher lows. And the main issue in the market right now has been a liquidity crunch from the Federal Reserve and other central banks having to, raise interest rates, which cuts back on banks and their overnight loans. So they don't have as much liquidity to pump into the markets. And so when we're in quantitative tightening versus quantitative easing, the whole entire market suffered. Now that doesn't mean that, a cryptocurrency like XRP is not a good project, or it doesn't mean that it's not going to see, significant adoption in the future. What it just means is that you're early right now. And a recent report from CPA Australia sheds light on why Ripple and XRP have captured the attention of central banks worldwide. And the efficient network is obviously a key factor, but the Reserve Bank of Australia, the European Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, and the Federal Reserve are all actively exploring CBDC issuance, contributing to this global shift. And with Fed now, being in the United States to make it efficient for, companies and for banks to be able to have money sent instantaneously, Ripple is actively involved in facilitating CBDCs, right? They're testing a private version of the XRP ledger, making it easier for global central banks to issue and manage their CBDCs. So it's a significant step towards the inevitable arrival of the world's first CBDC. Now, whether you love this or you hate this, or you don't like CBDCs because of the control that it's going to give to centralized authorities, nonetheless, this is massively shifting the power over to not just the government, but a company like Ripple. So why is Ripple and XRP trusted by banks as a CBDC model, and what makes XRP different? Well, they offer a unique advantage because Ripple allows for the creation of new currencies, and developers can control the supply similar to central banks, versus the US dollar having an, infinite supply that drastically devalues the spending power of the dollar. This flexibility is a game changer, guys. It's a game changer. In a recent survey by the Bank for International Settlements, which is the central bank that tells the other central banks basically what to do, they reveal that approximately 24 central banks, both in emerging and advanced economies, are planning to introduce digital currencies into circulation by the end of this decade. And over at JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the United States, they're saying that the ISO 222 standard is set to roll out in November of this year, and XRP is the largest, by market cap, ISO 222 compliant project, which basically means that SWIFT, right, which is the largest infrastructure for, wire transfers globally with over 11,000 banks, will be making the shift as well, and you have to be ready.
ISO 222 priority. So no one has said not all that important. So that's good. Certainly lots of folks are focusing on this. It looks like it's of high importance across. I know the November 2023 date is what everyone has been marching to. So that's good. It looks like it's very high on the priority list.
So when you see all these insane price predictions for XRP, like $589 from The Simpsons, or even XRP in the thousands of dollars, like this video right here showing, XRP glitching to over $9,000. Now, how would that even be possible? Because for XRP to even go to, let's say, $100 with the current circulating supply, the market cap would need to be over $5 trillion. Now that might seem like a lot of money, but the main way that would be possible for XRP to go to a price prediction of $100, let's say as a hypothetical, is just for a few of the largest central banks to use XRP daily. So to put this into perspective for you in terms of liquidity, when I talk about liquidity crunch with the Federal Reserve and with the banks, JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the United States, they process nearly $10 trillion a day in more than 170 countries and 120 currencies. That's $10 trillion a day, not a year, a day, every single day. So imagine if a bank like JP Morgan came out one day and they announced that they're using XRP for cross-border transactions and holding some XRP as a reserve. What do you think would happen to the price? Now, it doesn't mean the price would go up, but that would be a flip switch right there. That would be what would take place if a bank like JP Morgan Chase were to announce that. Now they're keeping things under wraps right now. But what do you guys feel would happen? Because they also said, we've built a legacy preparing businesses for the future, investing billions in tomorrow's technology so our partners can evolve, adapt, and innovate to move them in the world forward. Now, what do you think they're talking about there when they say tomorrow's technologies? It's clearly distributed ledger technology. It's clearly blockchain technology. Now, central banking digital currencies, they're designed to serve multiple purposes, and many central banks are developing what's called retail CBDCs, as the use of physical cash declines. Some countries like the Bahamas, the Eastern Caribbean, Jamaica, Nigeria, they've already implemented digital retail currencies, and 11 more central banks are exploring similar initiatives. So as the domino tips from, smaller banks and smaller central banks around the world to the largest ones, we're going to keep you updated on this channel so you can be in the know with what's going on with these central banks, what's going on in the crypto space, and what projects and what companies to keep your eyes on. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you want to see more updates like this. And secondly, central banks are also considering wholesale CBDCs, which will revolutionize financial transactions between institutions, which is where the big money is. This is where the big whales play. So it's early right now, guys. This is just starting out. And by 2028 and 2030, you're going to see what's going to happen. Even this year, by the end of this year, this approach involves tokenization and has the potential to enhance cross-border payments, right? Among other benefits, 9 central banks, 9 of them are already working on wholesale CBDCs, and over 90% of banks are starting to implement this stuff. And that number is probably higher, if you're watching this video months later, because these banks are moving faster and faster now because they're all in competition with each other, right? All these banks, the way that they work with each other is not through necessary collaboration, it's through competition. For instance, the Swiss National Bank is planning to launch a wholesale CBDC on Switzerland's digital exchange, and the European Central Bank is processing and progressing towards a digital euro pilot program with a possible launch in 2028. So what I'm expecting here is that to move quicker and quicker and quicker, because when a bank announces that they're launching in 2028, what do you think another bank is going to do? Well, they're going to think to themselves, this is what I would do if I was the owner of a bank. I think, well, why don't we launch in 2025? Why don't we beat them by a few years and beat them to the punch? That's what they're starting to do. Then another major bank will see that announcement and they'll think to themselves, well, why don't we launch 2024 and move faster, beat them to the punch? Then another bank would think, well, why don't we launch at the end of the year, beat them all to the punch, get the massive liquidity from the digital asset space and get all these companies to partner with us, just like what happened in the .com boom. So right now, it's a race for market share, and Ripple is right there in the water on the surfboard, about to absorb all of that liquidity, ready to get pitted.
Dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just like you pull in and you just get spit right out of them, and you just drop in and just smack the lip, whoop-ah, drop down, snap, and then after that, you just drop in, you just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted like that.
So while we all wait to get pitted together, meanwhile, over in China, they've been conducting a pilot test that involves a massive 260 million people, and India and Brazil are preparing to introduce digital currencies next year. Now, the BRICS nations as well too that I've covered on the channel, with Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and Saudi Arabia partnering together to work on their CBDCs and having their BRICS payment system along with a BRICS currency that could potentially be backed by precious metals, a basket of commodities as well too. And the Bank for International Settlements, they did a survey and it indicated that there's about 93% of central banks are now actively involved in some form of CBDC development, and 60% have expedited their efforts due to the emergence of stablecoins, other crypto assets, and banks competing with each other. So it's exactly what I'm talking about. Competition speeds up implementation. Competition speeds up implementation, because if you're running a race and you see someone catching up to you, you're going to run faster. That's what these banks are doing. So this is a big deal for Ripple as a company, for XRP, because RippleNet, they offer 3 different solutions for banks, payment providers, and massive corporations. Number 1 would be they process cross-border payments using fiat currencies. So as the money old school fiat payment rails get overhauled, they can help with the transition for the SWIFT network as well too. Number two, they're offering on-demand liquidity using Ripple's digital asset, XRP. So central banks can hold XRP in reserves, which could potentially affect the market cap of XRP. And more central banks would be excited about using XRP because the transaction costs and the speed to transfer is very, very cheap. Number three, they provide a standard interface that allows corporations to pay their employees using XRP because, when you pay your employee using ACH or wire transfers, it takes 1 to 7 business days, and you got to pay a $25 fee. So if you're sending an employee a check of $1,000 or $2,000, and you have, 1,000 or 2,000 1099s that you have to send out, and you're sending all these wire transfers and all this stuff rather than checks, it's a headache. And so using XRP, you're paying pennies, and it gets there instantly. So your employees would be happier. Your bottom line, you would save a lot more money, and it'd be a lot safer as well too. Now, using RippleNet, what banks are able to do is they're able to save 60%, roughly 60% of the total cost per payment as the SWIFT fees are eliminated when they make their shift to distributed ledger technology. Now, this is a big deal because SWIFT is the largest and the most widely used global network for banks and financial institutions. They connect over 11,000 institutions worldwide, guys. You know what SWIFT is? It's how you do your wire transfers, right? And so if you go to their official website on swift.com, it says, at SWIFT, we have been extensively analyzing and testing the potential application of blockchain technology in the financial industry.
We're delighted with the outcome of our DLT proof of concept exercise that was looking at the application of the technology to the problem of liquidity management, which is a serious problem for banks. One of the things that it allowed us to do was to confirm our conviction that the use of standards, business standards with DLT is going to be critical to getting their widespread acceptance. We were very careful to ensure that we used ISO 20022 business definitions for the data exchanged by the participants using the DLT technology. And that was important because when we came to integrate that technology into the back offices of the banks, we found that they were already familiar with the terminology and the data that we were specifying on the DLT, and it therefore made integration much more straightforward.
It's all linked to Nostro account. A Nostro account, that's an account that is held by a bank with foreign banks to support cross-border payments of its corporate clients. Essentially, there are two issues linked to those accounts that we were aiming to improve and to solve. Those two problems are reconciliation and liquidity management. Well, the idea was to use a shared ledger between the Nostro account owner and its servicer to share all information and all postings on a particular account in real time. So as part of the proof of concept, we worked with 34 banks to design a solution to solve that problem. So we used Hyperledger Fabric, which we combined with some Swift assets and deployed in the Swift DLT sandbox to allow the 34 banks to test what were the improvements to the liquidity management process and to the reconciliation process around Nostro account. So the first thing we learned is that from a business point of view, the proof of concept demonstrated its value. So if you use distributed ledger technology to share information on a Nostro account between a servicer and an account owner, well, you do get improvements to the reconciliation and liquidity management process. So that is the first finding. The second finding is that from a technology standpoint, yes, the progress which has been made by DLT and Hyperledger Fabric in particular was huge. We were able to solve lots of industry requirements that we were not able to do before. So we had a very strong governance ensured with access being controlled and permissions being enforced. Data was stored in a confidential manner. We had standardization built in with the support of ISO 20022, and all participants were duly identified through their BIC and keys were signed by a certification authority. On the other hand, the POC also reveals that to take benefit of the solutions, there were a number of industry prerequisites which needed to be met. As an example, as much as it's useful and beneficial to have a platform to share information in real time, if the back offices of banks are not ready to feed the platform in real time, then the benefits are not reached. Well, first, we're going to work with the community on the prerequisites, promoting the fact that real-time reporting is important and is required for the POC. We'll also make sure that we will work with the community on helping towards migration to ISO 20022 as a means to reduce integration and implementation costs. From a technology point of view, what are we going to do? So we will keep on doing our DLT effort, doing more proof of concept and so forth, in order to progress towards our vision, which remains to evolve our platform with DLT capabilities to ensure that over time our members can benefit from DLT solutions provided by Swift or third parties, reusing their Swift infrastructure and connectivity.
And so once Swift starts to usher in ISO 20022, it's game over. Ripple's Liquidity Hub is enabling financial institutions and businesses to easily and effectively source digital assets from global crypto markets, allowing organizations to unlock new revenue streams by offering end-to-end ability to buy, sell, and hold digital assets. So it's just making things a lot more efficient, right? In American Express, when you look at that company being global and Santander having partnered with Ripple to speed up cross-border payments between the US and the UK, by using blockchain technology, Bank of America also partnered with RippleNet's technology. So despite the legal battle and despite the liquidity crunch and potential recession on the horizon and the effective federal funds rate, going up and wondering what's going to happen with SEC versus Ripple, well, Ripple's been growing with central banks. All these central banks during the lawsuit were partnering with Ripple. They knew something that the average retail investors did not know. And Brad Garlinghouse noted that the XRP liquidity has surged outside the US, especially in over in the Asian region. Despite the initial hit to XRP's price, it bounced back, gaining over 100% in 2021 with a market cap right now, the time of making this video, about $26 billion, which is really small compared to the liquidity of, look at JP Morgan Chase processing $10 trillion per day. XRP has a total market cap of 26 billion. So what's next for this project? What do we have to look forward to? And with rumors swirling and circulating out there, I don't like to talk about rumors too much, but this is really interesting because Ripple is potentially announcing that they're settling with the SEC at their party in New York, September 29th, in regards to XRP being sold to institutional investors as securities. So we will see if this is true or not, but I've been saying this for months, guys. Ripple will most likely have to pay some money to settle with the SEC for selling XRP to institutional investors as securities, and that's what's called their rite of passage. This is what happened with Microsoft. It's what happened with Tesla. It's what happened with Apple. The SEC sues all these large companies just to make some money and to assert their authority over through control, but not by due process. And then these companies just pay them some money, and then Ripple will continue to do business as usual, but they're going to be doing bigger business because they're the only altcoin that has clarity. No other altcoin has clarity. Bitcoin is a commodity registered or regulated by the CFTC. XRP is the only other project that has clarity. Everything else is under question. But here's the exciting part, okay? Ripple might go public with an IPO. And Brad Garlinghouse has said this, that the likelihood is very, very high after the lawsuit is over. So could that be one of the announcements that comes at the party in New York at the end of this month? We'll see what Brad Garlinghouse has to say. And if you subscribe to the channel, I'll be updating you guys so you can be in the know. And Wall Street expert Linda Jones, she believes that buying buying Ripple's shares now, if you're an accredited investor, could be a fantastic investment. So if you guys are an accredited investor, let me know in the comments below, because Ripple's potential for growth is immense, especially when compared to, Coinbase's $86 billion valuation when Coinbase launched. Coinbase obviously dropped with the bear market, but we're going back into a bull market leading into 2025. And so Jones is suggesting that a $10,000 investment in Ripple shares could potentially become $140,000, even if Ripple doesn't outperform Coinbase. Now, I'm not saying that. That's what she's saying, and I'm curious on your guys' thoughts for that, but I do think that it will perform well. So if you're an accredited investor, then, you could participate in that. But if you're not an accredited investor, and let's say you're just holding XRP as a retail investor, then like this video, make sure you tap that subscribe button if you want to see more updates like this, guys, because what's happening right now, with the globe, we are going to be going into a completely different financial landscape. Just like before the SWIFT system was implemented into banking, it took, 20, 30 years for it to take place. Right now that we're at the precipice of this change this year, by November of this year, you have to be ready. You only have a few months. And by the end of this month, we're going to see some massive announcements take place that we're getting ready for. But backing up our truck all the way to the bank, grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind because the spending power of the dollar is going down in value. That's the truth. Blockchain technology and distributed ledger technology is going up in value. That's a fact. And together, We're all going camping on the beaches of the moon. I will see you guys on the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com, where you'll learn our #1 way to earn passive income online with crypto. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.